Hi, Zizaran here with a quick video on Scourge and my initial thoughts on the league. So, just for reference, this is like my opinion on how I like the league and things like that, but also a little bit of feedback on other things as well. So, two things in one. So, I really like the mechanic. It's the most I've ever engaged with the mechanic, so much so that this is my slowest time to maps ever. Normally, it would be around 4 hours for me to maps, sometimes 5. But this, it was 8 or 9 hours to maps. And that was just because I was engaging so much with the mechanic. It was just like really, really fun. I ended up getting like super over leveled. It's kind of surprising actually, because in hindsight, I didn't really get that many amazing items while leveling. It was just a few cool implicits. When looking through the Scourge like positives and stuff, there's some really, really cool ones there. I don't feel like it's necessarily the best balance, because there's quite a lot of dead positives, like for example, like reflect damage to monsters or 10 life regen, as well as the fact that the downsides can be really, really bad. And it takes quite a while to get like the third one off. And that's one of the things that I don't like. So when Chris said about the mechanic, he said that you get 3 chances, but you realistically only get 1, because the first one and second one can only have fairly minor things. You can't get like, despair on hit gloves on the first try and be like, oh no, I hit it, like let's keep it, and then do 2 more. That was like kind of a bit annoying, because like the first one can only give something minor like 10 life. The third ones are amazing. I wish we had a bigger chance to get the third ones, or at least additional chances, because now it's just you finish the third one and it's done. But obviously they are kind of overpowered as well. Like you can get an additional like AoE or proj on chest and stuff like that, and you have the point that makes you a 5% chance to get double positive. So obviously they are very strong, probably hard to balance, but I would love to see like some change there, maybe less dead mods, or an additional chance to re-roll the third one. So if you aren't happy with the third outcome, you can do like one maybe that's like twice as much or half as much more, and do another re-roll, because it is quite long. The mechanic, like the spell damage that it outputs is insane. The Pale Angels, the huge red balls, and the tendrils, like if you don't have spell suppression or don't have spell block, you can go in and it's like insanely deadly. You like very quickly die. Maybe nerfing specifically the spell damage and equalizing it a little bit between attack and spell damage. Another thing that a lot of people are struggling with, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I quite like it, but the very low currency drops, which is obviously something you have to adapt to and change your playstyle, do chaos recipe maybe. But I can see that being very off-putting to a lot of people, seeing as we just came off the back of Expedition, and then Ultimatum before that was just showering us with currency. So like very like rude awakening when you get to maps and you maybe only have 6 chaos or something, when you maybe had 80 to 100 the league before. So I don't know whether they should make the league mechanic itself drop more random currency, or just make the normal monsters outside the league mechanic drop more currency. Another thing that's really good though is the stacked currency. That's just amazing. Another thing, stun radius on going in and out of the nightmare. I don't feel like necessarily achieves the purpose, because the purpose is supposed to be that you don't instantly get one shot by the monsters on the other side, right? But it doesn't cover the entire screen, so very often there will be like ranged monsters that still get to like slap you down. Not so much a problem with the current build I'm playing, because it is very tanky, but I've seen a few people like go in and get instantly killed by ranged mobs. So maybe it should actually be a screen and a half. Is this just to avoid people getting one shot when going into the mechanic and being surrounded by monsters? The item drops from the Scourge monsters themselves, like the random rares, I mean, I know it's early days still, but they are very questionable. Like, I've actually been looking at all of them. Very rarely do they have good implicits, and if they do, they are an absolute garbage item. I haven't seen any good items. So it just makes me want to completely filter every like random rare Scourge item out of my filter. And I haven't found that many like of the tainted chaos orbs and things like that. I found 0 tainted chaos orbs, 15 tainted fusings, and then a handful of like jewelers, and the other ones 3 mythic orbs. But I haven't found that much of that. So if the tainted chaos orbs were more common, and we were supposed to, find an item, a random one with a good implicit, and then re-roll that with the tainted chaos orbs or something until they got a good one. Do they just re-roll explicits? I can't even remember. But I'm just not really understanding the Scourge drops currently. I also thought maybe there could be a chaos orb recipe from the Krangle drops, but there doesn't seem to be. All in all though, like really, really fun mechanic, and I loved looking through all the positives. There were so many good ones there, and I think it adds like a really, really cool step to endgame gearing, especially with corrupting. And obviously it's very easy to get 6 things this league with the new tainted orb fusing. So very interesting so far, really enjoying it. This is just an initial one, but so far is like comparable to my first week of Incursion, which like Incursion probably was my first favorite league start, and then I got very bored of the mechanic. This does seem like something that is very enjoyable for a long time with like min-maxing gear. My favorite league was Synthesis, and I haven't really had a league itself I enjoyed since then. I've mostly enjoyed other things about the league, like Metamorph, right? I hated the league, but I love the patch. This time I really like the league. I think it's amazing the min-max you can do on items. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. And sub if you like the video. More importantly, try to die less than I do.